Alright, thanks for coming back for part 2, everybody. Now that we've got our blades all filed and polished with sandpaper, we're ready for heat treat. But first, you guys could go ahead and hit that subscribe button, that like button. That'd be pretty rad. Every time you hit subscribe, a mosquito dies. Alright, so first thing we're going to need is something to hold on to this blade, because it's going to get hot. Second thing we need is a heat source. I'm going to use this cheap little propane torch. Works just great on these little blades. So I really only need to heat up the end of this, but I want to heat up and harden the shaft. And the reason is I just don't want it bending as easily. I don't need it to be as hard as the tip, but and with these torches it's really hard if you go in from sideways, because as soon as that blade leaves the flame, it cools off almost instantly because it's so thin. So what I like to do is almost lay the blade along with this and keep like a whole bunch of it in the flame long ways. And it works really well on these little tiny blades. So I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the tip is already getting red. So I want to take the tip out of the flame for a little bit until I can get the ferrule nice and hot. It should only take a few minutes. It's already turning orange, so maybe a minute. Alright, now we'll put the tip back in and wait till it glows red. Just about there. Alright, and you don't have much time. As soon as I take this out of the flame, it'll start to darken, so we'll just give it a little bit of a soak. O1 likes a little bit longer in the heat, but you don't want to overheat it, so. Alright, here we go, right into the oil. Swirl that around. And that's it, everybody. That should be heat treated. We'll check it with a file here in a second, as soon as it cools down. Alright, I'll get a paper towel. Alright, it appears it all stayed straight. Nothing went wonky in regards to straightness. Didn't warp on me or anything, so that's good. Now we just have to find out if it's hard or not. And we do that with the file, like everybody else. Oh yeah. Definitely just skating right over it. But up here, I can feel it still cutting a little bit. I don't know if you can hear the difference. You hear that difference? But that's fine, because most of this is going to be in the handle, and I just wanted the tip hard, a couple inches back, and that's perfect. It turned out wonderful. All right, that's how you heat treat a blade. It's nothing too complicated, and there's probably 1,000 videos on doing it, but that's how I did it, and it worked out just fine. All right, now that we've got it all heat treated, you need to go ahead and sand off all of that black gunk from the oil quench. And the reason you do that is you want a nice polish so that you can see what color your metal turns. And we want this to be that golden straw bronzy color when it's done. And I'm going to do my tempering in this old toaster oven. It does work, but there's some issues with tempering in one of these little ovens, is that they don't hold a lot of heat. So say your toaster oven, you set it on 400 degrees and your elements come on. They come on until it reaches 400 degrees and then they shut off. And then it will have like it'll drop in temperature by a certain amount, and then the elements will come back on, and it will cycle through that to keep it right around 400 degrees. Well, with a blade this small, it doesn't have enough mass to hold heat. So it will cool down right along with the elements. So what you want to do is, or what I do, is I put it on this cookie sheet, and then I add a piece of black pipe in here with a lot of mass to it. And I will, once this is preheated, I will put this in here while it's preheating. and then I will go ahead and put my blade inside of that. And that will hold, that has enough mass to hold that 400 degrees onto the blade for the whole hour that we're going to leave it in there. So I'll go ahead and do that now, and then I will show you how it turns out in about an hour. All right, we're done with our tempering. Can let it cool down on its own while it's in here, but I'm going to take it out and show you guys the color. And that's it. I hope it's showing up on the color that it turned. It's that nice, almost golden color. It's perfect. Alright, so I'm just going to mix up some of this 5-minute epoxy. I'll do the best I can to get it. Let me get a toothpick. I'm going to try and get some down in the hole there. Yeah, that worked pretty good. Get that all down in there. I'm going to go ahead and score the bottom of the file real fast. Not probably necessary, but it doesn't hurt. There, a couple little notches. That'll help keep it in there. I'll go ahead and put a little coating on the bottom here. And put it there. Make sure it goes all the way in. Alright, the last thing I need to do is just finish the handle. I'm just going to use boiled linseed oil. You can use whatever you like, really. I'll put a nice heavy helping of that on there. Probably do it a few times, make sure it's soaked in pretty good. And that's it, folks. You can see I made a whole bunch of them, so that's how I made the micro chisels.